The following broadcast is a Nighthawk Network presentation.
Hey, what up, though? What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Eric Buck, also known as the Nighthawk, and I'm here, of course, with my partner in crime over there, Mr. Hugh Lee, to once again talk sports with y'all here on that podcast we call Gametime Audible. We are coming to you live and direct from Detroit, where it's been a good day, but not quite as busy as the day that has been going on in sports, in particular with the NFL and the free agent signings and such. We are definitely going to get into that momentarily, but of course, let us first allow my man to greet the people. What up, Hugh?
What's going on, E?
Hey, not much, man. You know, you've been a busy one there in the lab. Keep in mind for all of you who want to catch the free agencies and the comings and goings and such, my man does a pretty good job of keeping up with that. You can do that by doing what, Hugh?
Hit me up on Pure to the Game. Appreciate all the followers, and it's been trending and growing in the right direction, man. That's beautiful seeing that 168. Then it go up to 183 to now we at 210 followers. It's been a lot of activity going on the last few days. Remember, I pissed off Sunday, E, and I was not too happy, but then I kind of figured it wasn't gonna be a lot going on, like as far as willing and dealing. We did get the big trade though on Sunday with Jalen Ramsey going over to the Dolphins, and when he went over there, man, him and Xavier Howard is going to be a problem, and that was like a really huge pickup for him.
Well,
That
I definitely like that move by the Dolphins, and the Dolphins have definitely been one of the busy teams. But before we go there, we got to talk about the big deal of all, the one that
oh
nobody
yeah,
thought last week, and sure enough,
yeah,
did it.
they pulled the trigger on it too, and it was damn near close to what I was saying too. The Chicago Bears trade the number one overall pick. And what they end up getting for it was actually pretty big. First and foremost, they got two first round picks and my man's the receiver, one of the top caliber receivers for the Panthers, DJ Moore. Was really surprised that they put him in on that. But they was gonna have to give up a player, and I believe right now in a wide receiver needy team as the Chicago Bears. No disrespect to my man Chase Claypool, but come on now, let's be serious. They still was struggling when it came to that receiver core. To get DJ Moore over there is huge because one thing too is they kept their quarterback because they didn't need one, man. And it made sense that they did what they did because them getting DJ Moore helps him get comfortable. I still feel like they need to get Clement back, the perennial tight end. But I really felt like they made some good moves. Not only just this move right here, they made some really big moves in the free agency, and it was actually pretty interesting to see some of the moves that they made because they was cleaning house, and I didn't think that they were going to do a lot of like craziness, but at the same time, I knew that they wasn't going to sit back because they got too much money now, and draft capital that they have is probably one of the best right now when it comes to teams, man. And I think they got the most money right now out of as far as the cap space. So yeah, it's been really good to see some of the moves that happened in the last like 24 hours.
I definitely like what the Bears did with that. I feel like they got a pretty decent deal with the number one pick. Bottom line is, I think it was in their best interest to trade that pick. Will Anderson or basically the other kid, I don't feel like was a generational pick to where it will change the things in your franchise. So I don't think you lose anything by giving up their number one pick. They still get a
No,
top 10 pick out the deal. They get an extra number one pick. They get picked in next year's draft as well. Plus, they get DJ Moore, who is definitely a very good number two receiver, if nothing else. So they definitely got some weapons now for Justin Fields to work with. Hopefully, he is making his improvements during this off season. So I definitely would like to see him do a nice come up, much like Jalen Hurts did this year for the Eagles, and just do better. And like I said, Chicago's also hitting that free agent market pretty tough, and I like what they're doing so far.
absolutely, man. I thought it was huge. The first thing they did to make me laugh was getting Nate Davis, a perennial offensive guard, and I said, yeah, they're smart because they're trying to get the guys that they need over there now. The Demarcus Walker deal, he wasn't really getting as much playing time over there in Tennessee, man, in that rotation, so he get a chance to, spread his wings. The Tremont Edmonds really caught me off guard, but we know right now kind of like how Tampa Bay and the Rams did just recently, trying to go all out. The Bills did that too, and unfortunately, I believe. No disrespect, but when they went after Von Miller and hit him hard the way they did, some of the other guys was possibly going to suffer. I know they were trying their damnedest to keep him, but a 4-year, $72 million contract, including $50 million guaranteed, I didn't think he was going to stay put. I wouldn't have gave them a hometown discount anyway, because if you're not trying to keep me there while before I leave, before other teams start to flirt with me in free agency, and a team come up with something and they give me that opportunity, and to go to Chicago where they're still in the need on offense and defense, they got a lot of holes to fill. A lot of times, though, we've noticed in the past, some of these deals look good on paper, but sometimes they don't pan out too. But the TJ Edwards deal too was really good with them because he was one of the better linebackers, and the Eagles are starting to lose a lot of pieces over there. So to actually have him leave, that hurt them on that team, and the Bears are getting stronger from all the moves they're making. So yeah, I really feel like with the money and the draft capital they have, they can do a lot. And I'm not really happy about it because I ain't no Bears fan. We sitting here in Detroit, but I do like the fact that they kept a lot of their key cogs and the pieces in Detroit, a lot of the guys that we already had. But a lot of people are slipping on that Cameron Sutton deal. I wanted them to go after, remember we talked about it, Darius Slay, and I wanted them to go after a perennial guy like Jalen Ramsey or something, but the capital was too much, man, because what Miami gave up was like a third round pick. And I believe that they have to pay the last 2 years of his contract. And I think it was like $20 million, something like that, each fully guaranteed seasons. So, yeah, I don't think that we would have made that move because we were trending in the right direction. But I don't think that we would have went out and did that move.
Like I said, I like the fact that the Lions are definitely trying to improve that back four back there with the cornerbacks and the safeties. But again, I think a key call for that defense that they desperately need is some quality linebacker play. And I'm sorry, but Anzalone, he did an okay job last season, but he is not the answer to fixing what we need for that defense to be strong. So I'm hoping that either they are going to make out pretty well in the draft and as far as linebacker and some of those secondary players that they need. But I really wanted them to go a little stronger in terms of trying to get a quality linebacker up in here, particularly a veteran that can help.
They could possibly still do that. Oh, I'm sorry.
You said what now?
Oh no, they can still possibly do that too. There's still a couple of guys that's out there like Levante David and some veteran guys that they can still plug in right now. But yeah, I was definitely surprised with the Anzalone. I think it was more of like a loyalty move, them re-signing him. But I wasn't really looking at that one like, oh man, that was a good move. The Cameron Sutton move I was happy with because not only could he do the slot, he could play the outside, but I think that definitely was like a man, you've been loyal to us and you stuck in here with us and now we're trending and so we're gonna keep you around. And it was more like a discount move too, because I mean, be honest, E man, they gave him a 3 year, $18 million deal.
Yeah, I mean, then again, going back to the Bears, I like the model that they're following at this point. They're kind of doing a little bit of what the Lions did and what the Jacksonville Jaguars did last year, them being number one and number two in the draft at the time. Remember, Jacksonville pretty much went the route of, okay, we're going to get a lot of people in free agency and then hopefully draft a few people to help out with that. The Lions pretty much went with, okay, we're going to get extra draft capital and try and improve ourselves in the draft. And they pretty much grew that way. I think the Bears are trying to do a combination of the two. And if everything works out right, who knows? They might pop up and be close to playoffs or playoffs worthy like Jacksonville was last year.
You know what's crazy too, E man? When I seen this move happen today, I laughed. But Atlanta was actually doing some good splashes too, low key. I laughed when I seen the Taylor Heineke situation. But right now, they're in the need of quarterback and backup that is because I believe they're going to go in with Desmond Ritter. But I saw that and I was like, well, he had the opportunity still to start because Desmond's still kind of green and trying to get his feet under him. Did you see the John Smith trade? New England felt like they messed up on that one and they got rid of him and kept more money on their cap. And when they got rid of him, man, it was crazy because they got rid of him for nothing. It was just Atlanta actually took the bulk of the money that he was making. And that really surprised me that they released him so fast after like about a season and a half because he was injured most of the other season. But the Chris Lindstrom was really good, the offensive guard, keeping him around because that really helped them out as far as the stability. But the Jesse Bates, man, I was like, man, somebody was going to leave the Bengals, and I kind of figured one of those two, either the safety or the cornerback, was going to leave. And to see Jesse Bates leave, I wasn't really surprised because he got a really big payday. It was like a 4 year, $64 million deal, but I feel like too a team that was low key been trying to make a splash was the Houston Texans. Man, they made a few moves, but I still feel like they got a ways to go. But I'm definitely looking in and seeing like a lot of the different things around the league. I want to ask your opinion. How did you feel about the whole Derek Carr situation going to the Saints, and what does that mean for that organization?
I mean, I wasn't mad at that. I feel like Derek Carr for them is pretty much a filler. I actually was surprised, really, that they re-signed Jameis Winston to be his backup. That's what kind of shocked me. But in terms of Carr being there, I figure he got a 2 or 3 year window there. If it don't work out, then at that point they didn't got old enough to where they'll start to retool and reimagine that franchise and draft a quarterback and whatnot. I mean, they still pretty much definitely in the mix when you consider their division is probably the worst division in football right now, considering that it basically took 9-8 to win that division, or 8-9 even. So you basically make a few tweaks to a team that has a good defense. You get them some type of offense to work with, and hopefully that should be enough to put them in the driver's seat. Because Tampa Bay basically is selling off key parts at this point. Because like it or not, they in rebuild mode now that Brady's gone. And of course,
Absolutely.
you know what's going on with Atlanta. So and Carolina, they didn't do what they needed to do. So we'll see how that works out for them. I will say I'm kind of surprised with some of the things that's going on with both Cincinnati and Buffalo in terms of some of the people they let go.
Yeah. And the people they just letting get sold, man, like they're not even trying to keep their guys around, it seemed like, bro. And I've noticed that myself. I'm glad you mentioned that because I said, man, these kids, are they really trying to compete right now? I didn't really feel like Cincinnati spent a lot of money or did nothing like really splash wise to look, sexy in the last few years. But some of your key guys, the ones that you brought up, from your organization to go off to other teams, kind of surprised me in a way. I didn't too much care for that, but definitely was surprised too that Tampa Bay re-signed James Dean to that deal. I mean Jamel Dean. I'm sorry about that. I was like, man, I know they having cap problems right now, but then I'm still hearing rumors that they're saying my man's about to leave, Leonard Fournette, and it's a possibility Devontae Davis might leave, and it's guys that they're willing to let go right now on that roster because they're trying to make room. But yeah, this was really surprising seeing teams just like having cap issues, still trying to go out and plug and play and get pieces. But Kansas City, man, did a good deal with Jawan Taylor too. A lot of people were slipping on him, and I started looking at some of the games and reading up on him, and they were saying that they're trying to give him a friendly deal to stay in Jacksonville because a lot of teams, they didn't think a lot of teams was up on Jawan Taylor, and they thought, well, man, maybe we could sneak him back for the low, like give him a 4 year 45-50 million dollar deal, something that looks sexy to the eyes but still like cheap on the market. Man, I think that Kansas City got him for like a 4 year, like 84, almost $85 million deal. And a lot of people were calling me and they were texting me and asking, who was that? Hugh, how good is he? I said, low key, they were going to try to keep him there for cheap because they figure with him and his services and him being so young that that would really bolster their roster. But to go to Kansas City, that's huge. And not only to keep that line tight, but you're going to see other people who are going to be like how it was back in New England, because that's all it seems like Kansas City is right now, like the New England of the league. And then there's going to be a lot of people love to hate them, but a lot of players are going to take discounts to go over there, and I'm happy to see that. But how did you feel about the Geno Smith deal? Did you feel like him getting like the value of a 3 year, $105 million? Do you think that that was worth him staying, or do you think that they should have went out and tried to get their guy in the draft?
I don't think he would have got much more anywhere else. I'm pretty good with that deal. Gino should be good with that deal. Remember, that dude was kind of on the verge of not even being in the league at one
Yeah,
point. So the fact that he basically played well enough to get a starter salary, and he basically made his share of money in the league already. So I'm good with that deal. I mean, keep in mind, I think 3 years is the magic number now. If you notice, most of these deals that's not 1 year deals, they pretty much 3 year deals. And the reason why I think that is because if you notice, a lot of people, particularly you look at people like Josh Allen and such, they are restructuring their contracts to make cap space
yeah. And
close. And I think
did
we're
you?
going to see a lot more of that in the years to come, where even if you do sign to a long-term deal, it's pretty much that in number. I mean, look at people like the man with the guaranteed contract over there in Minnesota. They restructured his deal with Kirk Cousins. And it was definitely the right thing to do for all parties side because Kirk he ain't lived up to that. Let's be honest.
Did you hear the rumor too, man? They're saying either it's a possibility that they're not even going to keep him. They just wanted Kirk Cousins to restructure that deal because they're saying it ain't no guarantee that they're going to keep him around. He basically did that for his best of interest.
Well, I think that'll be interesting to look at when the trade deadline comes up this season to see if they keep him based on whatever their record is at that time. Um, Another deal that I was very impressed by was the Raiders going out and getting Jimmy G. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Jimmy G was cool. One of my homegirls, Toya didn't like it. She laughed because she was like, "Well, why did they do that deal when Carr's a better quarterback, but Jimmy G's coming cheaper than he was too as well." It was like a 3 year deal. It's really chump change on the quarterback market, but at the same time, I still feel like the Raiders might get like a second round, maybe third round draft pick quarterback because Jimmy G is like one of them plug-in quarterbacks that he could probably be there for a year or two before the next guy come along and take control, a la how Alex Smith was in Kansas City before Patrick Mahomes took over. That I believe was going to happen, and you're starting to see too with him. Speaking of the coach, I mean, Josh McDaniels, he's starting to get a lot of guys from New England. You know, the Raiders are starting to get pretty New England friendly because Jacoby Myers just went over there too. Basically, his deal was like a 1 year, $11 million contract. But if you put it into the 3 years, it's like the 3 year, 33 mil.
Now we've learned in the past what happens when you basically try to take New England and make it New England West or New England Midwest. Ask the Lions about that one. So that may not necessarily be the best move overall. But I definitely do like them getting Jimmy G. Remember, say what you will about Jimmy G. Bottom line is wherever he's went, he's won. It's just when it comes down to the big games, that's where you start to have the issue with Jimmy G. Not to mention his propensity to be injured from time to time.
Yeah, man. I like the Gerard Hargrave move too. The Gerard Hargrave going over to San Francisco was scary, man, because what I seen with that was because I was like, Hargrave's gonna get a huge contract, man. I think they paid him like 84 million, like for 4 years as well, like 84, 85 million. But he got broke off with his deal with San Fran. And it's already they had one of the best defenses in the league, bar none. But now you get one of the best guys in the league that's going to be on that front seven, you know. And it kind of reminded me of when the Rams already had a really solid front, and you went out and you get a Dominican Sue, him and Aaron Donald, you know, because now you got um, little brother Bo over there. You got, I mean, Nick Bosa, and you got Hargrove, and you got a lot of guys, Brandon Graham, because I think he took a pretty decent home discount to stay in Philly too. So there's a lot of guys who were there when they were there, they just wanted to win, and guys will take the discounts for that. But because I know that they were eyeing him at first. I know San Fran was eyeing Brandon Ingram. I mean, they was eyeing Graham, and when Graham was in the mix, I think that's when he ended up having a change of heart, took the discount, and stayed in Philly. But it's like I still feel like San Fran has something to prove. No disrespect to them, because we still don't know what we got with Trey Lance, and I feel like they gave up too much for that guy now, who can't even stay healthy. And don't get me wrong, they still do have my man's over there too, Mr. Irrelevant, Mr. Purdy.
Right.
Did you know too that they signed Sam Darnold, man, just to have some type of competition? That kind of caught me off guard
I
too.
mean,
But
I don't know what it is about Sam Darnold that has so many people believing in him still. I mean, it's kind of like similar to what happened when we had the Sanchez in the league, and it seemed like people gave it a shot, but then somewhere down the line he didn't make out, and then sure enough, somebody else would pick him up. Somebody else would pick him up. I think that the Sam Darnold's turn to be that guy. I mean, bottom line, he didn't started enough NFL games for us to see. Probably not your best solution at quarterback. But again, I think the reason why San Fran gave him a shot is because the guy that's running things over there feel like he could take whatever quarterback and make him relevant. I mean, he
he,
already proved that last year.
yeah, he have been, man. So I could definitely see that being the case because it's been a really good productive year for Josh Purdy, and I think if Trey Lance would have stayed healthy, that he would have showed signs of being good and actually meshing with that team. He worked to the quarterback strengths, and that's what I like about Kyle Shanahan. He's basically a quarterback friendly coach, and he grooms those guys to succeed. So I think that that's the case. But E-Man, let's start talking about, and let's stop, you know, dodging this, man. I'm starting to be sold now that Aaron Rodgers possibly might go over there to the Jets because they signed Alan Lazard, and then I'm hearing Randall Cobb possibly might sign, and they had their eye on Mercedes Lewis. So they trying to get some of his boys over there to lure him over there. But you already know Aaron Rodgers know what he gonna do, and he already, have it mapped out. It's just that he's staying quiet about it right now. And they're saying that he did a LeBron James on us. He basically gonna tell us on the map our McAfee show, Pat McAfee did what he gonna do, and we'll be knowing about that and what he's gonna do with his NFL football career around 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Understand, as I often say, Hugh, most of these deals be already made before the time comes. We didn't know free agency been coming for weeks now. You know what I'm saying? Some of these deals, remember, none of these deals have been finalized till tomorrow, round about that time, no doubt. But
Uh,
when all is said and done, I think Rodgers, as soon as he left the dark room, knew what he was going to do. And remember, when they came to visit him last week in California and then stayed an extra day, you're not having that type of discussion unless two things have already happened. One, you and Aaron have an understanding that this could definitely work. We just need to know what you need, Aaron. And Aaron being Aaron's like, I need the following. Boom, boom, boom. And you see these moves being made now. Because it's not
yeah,
like Lazard was a top flight receiver, you know what I'm saying? It's not like Randall Cobb, another person rumored to go over there. It's somebody that you absolutely have to have. But if you Aaron Rodgers, you see the value in them, and you basically selling that value to your prospective employee. The second thing is we already heard many a rumor that Packers don't want him back. They're tired of the
yeah,
act. They tired of foolishness. They want to get that 50 mil off the books. They basically are ready to deal. So I think they've already had discussions with the Jets as to what type of compensation they would want for Aaron Rodgers or how much of that contract they're willing to pay, so on and so forth. So I think we will get that news sometime before Friday, definitely. And I think it
it,
will come as no surprise to most people that he is definitely going to the Jets.
it was funny to me how they were just saying, man, we just ready to get this over with. And they were saying we want to do what's best for him and for us. And I think that they already made their mind up then. And I was hearing rumors circulate even back like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks ago, that they were saying that they're focused on getting Jordan Love what he needed, the pieces, and trying to focus on what they could do with life after Rodgers. So they was already. It reminds me so much of how it was when we heard Brett Favre playing all these silly games and doing the things he was doing, flirting with, you know, yeah, I'm going to retire. And then when he said that, they was like, okay, we about to go ahead and we about to go with, our quarterback we drafted in the first round. Then he come back and, oh man, I'm not going to retire. I want to come back to Green Bay. They like, man, you waited to the last minute, man. We already in training camp, so we trying to settle in, man. And that's what we chose, Aaron Rodgers. And that's when he decided to make his move to the Jets and, go back and forth with different teams. And he just was like kind of similar to Aaron Rodgers, man. Want to be told he was pretty, and the people to cater to him. And now you see that whole thing. It's just basically like a 180, man. Because I was just surprised to see how immature and how selfish he acts sometimes. And I think a lot of people are getting tired of his antics as well.
It's the arrogance of the man that kind of puts me off. You know what I'm saying? Make no mistake, as Stephen A will constantly tell you, he's a bad man. He is. He's definitely one of the best quarterbacks in the league, even at the age of 38, 39. But in terms of the attitude, his leadership, and what have you, that's an act that been played out with me years ago. I myself
Yeah,
wanted to be my quarterback, but to each his own. I mean, bottom line, the Jets, they kind of desperate right now. It's the battle of New York, and right now they losing that battle. Giants to make the playoffs. Jets didn't.
and the Giants made some good moves too, man. Did you hear about them getting Darren Waller today? That was a huge move
I,
for them to get him.
I definitely want to see some more quality receivers and tight ends over there to help out young Daniel Jones. So yeah, I definitely like that move for them.
I was surprised too that New Orleans didn't try to within. I know they still got cap, issues, and some of the guys they let negotiate and kind of test the market. But to let Marcus Davenport go over there, man, I thought that he was gonna get picked up for a bigger deal, but they lost Eric Kendricks, and when the Vikings did that, they wanted to try to get another pass rusher. But man, they got one of the better edge rushers right now that people will slept on. And the reason why I knew about it because when I was watching some of them games when Tom Brady was struggling with, the Cameron Jordan and that defense over there in New Orleans, that was one of the names who was always in Brady's lap, Marcus Davenport. So, yeah, I think that's kind of insurance too, E, because unfortunately, I don't know if you heard the news, but Zadarius Smith is pissed off right now. Now he's not happy over there. I don't know what happened or what's going on, but he requested to be traded, you know. And they basically was like, "Nah, we're not trading you, so that's out of the question." But speaking of people trying to request trades, I really thought that two things were disrespectful that I heard on the free agent market. One of them was, if you didn't know by now, Stephon Gilmore is over there with the Cowboys. So him and Trayvon Diggs is going to be a really nice, asset. Yeah, Stephon Gilmore is a little older. He's up in age, but he still can cover, and he's still a pretty good player. And you're gonna have to pick your poison with those two. I think more or less Gilmore is going to get tested more than Diggs, but still it doesn't really matter. But did you hear about before that went down that the Philadelphia Eagles gave a call to the Cowboys and was trying to trade Darius Slay over there?
No, that's an interesting move for them. I
Oh,
mean, keep
same.
in mind, I'm not completely sure what the Eagles' master plan is here. I mean, do keep in mind they do have extra trade capital themselves. Remember, they do have. I want to say they have 3 first-round picks, even. But
Yeah,
when all is said and done, they know it's going to be very difficult to keep that team intact to make several runs at this point. So, I still say they definitely going for it this year. I definitely like the fact that they re-signed Kelsey for one more year. I mean, at this point, I think they basically just talked him into it. He done won a Super Bowl. He'd been to a couple. He probably a future Hall of Famer at some point. So I don't think he was pressed as far as all that goes. I just think, he basically felt, okay, y'all been loyal to me. I'll be loyal to you for one more year and have at it. But
because yeah,
one thing I'm finding interesting, it seems like there's a lot of teams that's trying to deal their running backs. Particularly surprised that people been talking about Minnesota dealing Dalvin Cook and Tennessee
yeah.
trying to deal Derrick Henry. I don't get it.
Did you hear the newest one with the Chargers are trying to let my man's explore
Well,
free
Eckler,
agency.
that move I kind of understand more. I mean, granted, yeah, he is pretty much their top receiver as well as their top running back, but I think they need more bang for the buck over there. I don't think he does enough for them to where you basically establish, okay, this is the guy that we want to keep long term and pay big money to. I definitely would like to see them, if they do deal him, not basically go out and get somebody else, just basically grab somebody in this draft because there's a lot of decent running backs coming out this particular draft. I
I
would
think
love to see them get the guy from Texas over there. I think that'd be a great pickup for them.
I think that he'll be a perfect fit with the Bears too if Austin Eckler happens to leave. But the only problem is, you got to pick your poison with that situation. It sounds pretty, but that offensive line is still in shambles. But I was surprised to see some things that the Eagles did good too that I saw today. To get back on that topic, was they kept on James Bradbury. They signed him to a 3-year, $38 million deal, so they kept him home. Already mentioned the 1-year, $6 million deal with Brandon Ingram, but they basically got two running backs for chump change. The Boston Scott deal was like 2.5 million for 1 year, and it was like 1.3 million for Rashad Penny. I think he on a prove it deal because when that guy's healthy, man, he on a whole nother level.
Absolutely. And now that they have what they got in Seattle with K9, basically he was somebody that they could get rid of in Seattle. So I'm not mad at it. Like I said, if he stays healthy, that's definitely a good pickup for them. Absolutely.
And people slept on the one deal that the Giants did too, to Bobby Okereke. That's how you pronounce it. That dude was a beast over there with his former team in Indianapolis. And the deal he had wasn't really that sexy. It was like a $40 million deal, 22 million guaranteed, and people looking at it like, well, yeah, that's a lot of money for a guy you don't know. Yeah, because he was in one of them teams that didn't really do much, you know. And speaking of that squad, man, we already seen it come and eat it. They end up getting rid of Matt Ryan, which we already knew that he wasn't going to stick around because I still feel like they're focused on getting that quarterback through the draft, which makes sense to me too as well.
I mean, bottom line is Matt Ryan willing to be a backup somewhere? That's what that boils down to. If not, then soon we should be getting an announcement that Matt Ryan's going to retire, or he'll basically catch on somebody's training camp, basically to see what he can do in their quarterback competition. I mean, I myself would love to have Matt Ryan as a backup here in Detroit. You know, if we're not going to draft somebody in terms of quarterback in this year's draft, I think he would be a great backup here. I mean, kind
Yeah,
of a semi-similar style to what we got with our current quarterback Jared Goff. But you know, in terms of him starting again, I can't see it.
I was pissed off, man, that we didn't go after my man Chase Keenum because he already got signed, and I was like, man, we definitely could have used that move, man. That would have been huge for us to get,
Case
man.
Keenum may be one of the best backup quarterbacks ever. Wherever
Hey,
he goes, he right on time.
if if you get like a Hall of Fame for backup quarterbacks, he'll be in it, man, because he probably will be first ballot because he is really consistent. He remind me of remember old boy that we had on our team, man, and we had him because Mac Stafford started to get hurt a little too much. Sean Hill, remember how good he was in the
Exactly.
backup? Yeah, that's who he kind of remind me
Right.
of.
And apparently everybody's new favorite backup also is Andy Dalton. Because he didn't found him another deal.
He always find the deals, man. I definitely feel like with Matt Ryan, it'll just be good to have him as a mentor, even if he don't really start. And I still feel like that could help because I still feel like Mans is not a bad quarterback, but he could still use help. But Texans, I was mad they end up getting that deal because that's the team he ended up going to. But then they end up getting Robert Woods too. They got Shaq Mason in the trade, so that helped boost their line. And then they end up getting Chase Winovich. And when I saw that, I said, "Damn, I forgot that they're kind of one of those Patriot squads too with Nick Casario." And
We got we got Coach Will checking in the building. What's going on, Will? What's happening? What up, though?
my man's Jimmy Ward, the safety signed too with them. So I think they did some hella moves and they're trying to move that team in the right direction and the team that's slipping right now. Oh, what's up, P?
We got Young Pride checking in the building. What's going on, my guy? Thanks for
I
checking in
question
the show as always. We appreciate your pride.
I question the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. No disrespect to Patrick Peterson, but you had a younger cornerback over there in Camden Sutton. You let him walk, and you signed Patrick Peterson. I didn't think that that really made sense, but yeah, because they paid him not that much. It was actually a okay contract because technically it's like a 1 year, maybe like 7 million if they keep him after this year. But I was surprised they didn't make a move to keep one of their own guys over there. So yeah, I didn't think that made sense because he's getting up.
I actually get this move, Hugh. You got to understand how the Steelers organization works. I feel like the Patterson move is Peterson move is basically because okay, you want a veteran on that defense to help the new guys coming in. And Patrick Peterson basically has been that veteran presence not only with the Cardinals but of course with the Vikings last year. And I think that's why you brought him in to kind of teach the young guys how to do what they do. You know what I'm saying? It's similar to like how sometimes in the NBA you get that type of move, and it's like, okay, he ain't really playing much. Why would you bring that dude in? I think everybody's looking to have that kind of that guy that comes in and shows the rookies and teaches a pro how to be a pro and all of that. I think that's that move for Pittsburgh. I actually like that move.
How did you like the Mike? How did you like the Mike White move? He left New York and he went over there to Miami, and I thought that was good because no disrespect to Teddy Bridgewater, man, we all wanted that brother to succeed, but he never did meet the expectations being drafted as high as he did when he went to Minnesota. But my man's is a beast, man, Mike White, and I still feel like he can come in and he could play well if Tua gets hurt.
The locker room needs
Oh,
leadership. I agree with Coach Will, absolutely. Most definitely that is the case. Um, the Mike White move is all right. I wasn't, I'm just liking what the Dolphins is doing in general. They realize they still got a shot at this thing. Once upon a time, that was the New England League over there. You know what I'm saying? Basically, New England was winning the division as usual, and everybody else was working for second place. That's not the case over there no more. Buffalo is beatable. We've learned that over the last year or so. And Miami's saying, okay, if we make a few tweaks here and there, and Lord knows if we can keep Tua healthy, this could get real interesting. But if we can't keep Tua healthy, we got to have something we can work with. And I guess they feel like Mike White is the answer to that question. If I'm the Dolphins, I still will probably draft a quarterback in the later round to see what I could develop along the way. I mean, I'm very interested to see who ends up getting quarterbacks like the kid out of Tennessee, Hooker. Because you figure they're not going to go in the first couple rounds, but that third or fourth round, you basically get him healthy, get him a chance to sit under some veteran leadership and see what you can work with. Because, if you saw that game, Alabama, Tennessee, that kid looked real good that game. I think he has NFL potential.
yeah, I feel like he's going to be okay. He just needs a little time to sit behind like a veteran at this point.
I think Allen has played his best 2 seasons ago. Well, I still think it's a lot left in the tank for Allen at this point. It's just for whatever reason he didn't kind of reverted back to how he was as a rookie this last year or so. And, you definitely got to resolve that. A lot of people say it's because the Giants' current head coach, who was the offensive coordinator over there, left, and now without his presence is making Allen a different quarterback.
Yeah, I thought that he just made a lot of bad mistakes. I know that my man's leaving too. Brian Dayball helped into that because you could see the growth from Daniel Jones versus what you have right now with Josh Allen making some of those crazy moves because he was making petty moves like when he first started, like rookie mistakes, thinking he could do too much. We know you got a strong arm, man, and we know you can zip it, but sometimes when you try to force that arm and force the team's hand in play, that ain't a leverage, man. That's a disadvantage because the game that they lost to Minnesota, they had that game won, man. You threw an interception in the end zone because you thought you could fit it in there in that tight squeeze in that box. And it was just, of course, they fumbled the ball too, but just mental mistakes that they made, man. And that's why I still feel like we talked about it before. If they need to go after somebody as far as like a perennial running back, they should go after a Derrick Henry or somebody to see if they can get somebody like these guys right now who everybody's shopping. See if they can get one of those guys, man, to help strengthen up that team.
I agree. Okay, is there anybody in particular you want to discuss outside of who I already discussed before we move on to other things?
Not really necessarily. Right now, everything at a standstill, and I think more things is going to evolve around what's going to happen
Right, because
with
remember,
him.
like I said, the official signing day is tomorrow, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot more deals that come through the pipe. Remember, folks, if you are trying to gain some understanding and want to find out the latest in all of those signings, definitely check out my man's page, Pure to the Game. He is giving you a constant rundown of what's going on. A lot of these deals that we talked about today on the show, you will definitely find in there and get further information and details. Also, Hugh, if you would give them a possible website they could check out if they want to check out their own team and see what they get doing.
They want to check out their own team and see what's going on. one of my favorites, depends on what sport. And the best thing about it is now they just recently updated and they're doing just more than football, is the walterfootball.com. You know, it shows you like the pre-draft guys. They'll show you the 2024 prospects who was going to get drafted, and they already have their guys from 1 to 32. They have just different things that you could check out on there. Now they got the basketball, you know, rosters and the drafting, and it's just really good. It'll educate you, because I used to pay at one point. I don't know if people were up on it when it came to the draft. I used to pay for those NFL, like the ESPN scouting books that they used to have on the shelf, man. Those was like $12, $13. And I used to buy those, look at it and read. And what I didn't like about it is no disrespect for Mel Kiper.
All right. Yeah, we'll try to get that information for you. We absolutely. Matter of fact, give it to me again so I can throw it on here.
walterfootball.com.
All right. Let me type that in for you.
And it has like NFL, it has like football, basketball, you know, different sports. But for the most part, when it comes to like this part of the season, like free agency and drafting, that's the best site to look at, because they already have, like, as far as their mock drafts from different perspectives, and, you know, via the trades and the actual wheeling and dealing that went on right now in the NFL. They update every week too, as far as the closer we get to the draft.
All right. He says, since I'm no longer coaching, I have time. All right, then, Will. Yeah, definitely check that out. You know, 'cause like I said, you can give your expert opinion on some of that in regards to what you see there. We're gonna take a quick commercial break. Just a couple quick hitters after that. We want to talk a little bit of the March Madness tournament with you guys and give you a couple stories from the NBA right quick before we head out. So we will do that after some words from our people at the Nighthawk Network. Again, this is Gametime Audible. That's Hugh, the sports guru, and I am your boy E-Buck the Nighthawk. We'll be back after a couple quick words from our people. Have you been scrolling Facebook and looking for that quick sports fix? Want a quick peek of what's going on in the latest sports news? Check out Pure to the Game Sports Blog with the sports guru, Hugh D. Lee. He'll get you together. Check it out. Follow it on Facebook. Make sure you like it.
Hello, hello, hello. It's another glorious day, my T-Sippers, and you know what time it is. I hope you have all of your comfort together, because it's time to dish tea. And you're dishing tea, darlings, with Big Meat.
Can't wait. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat. It's time to dish tea with Big Meat.
Darling.
We're not asking for your permission. We're not seeking your approval. We're claiming what's ours in the name of our ancestors. We are their answered prayers. This is more than a movement. This is a revolution. Black innocence. What are yours today?
The views and or opinions expressed here on Gametime Audible is that of the host and or guests, and does not necessarily reflect those of the Nighthawk Network or its affiliates. Viewer and listening discretion is advised. What's happening, gang? We are back, Gametime Audible. Me and sports guru Hugh Lee, we have now moved on from our talk about football free agency and trades, and we're going to go into a little bit of that thing called March Madness tournament. Are you ready, Hugh? You ready for the big tournament?
Most definitely. This is usually one of the better times of the year, because You have like the stuff going on with the physical football year. Then you got the March Madness going on, and not really too interested in spring training right now. I'm more or less ready for that season to get on because so I can see what's going on as far as the new teams and acquisitions. But yeah, man, it's usually pretty interesting around this time. It's not as good as October as far as sports, but it's the next best thing. Definitely when you're waiting for, like when you a football fan like me and you waiting for the NFL season. No disrespect to the XFL or the USFL, but yeah, man, usually the NFL is where it's at with me.
Basically, if you want to get a decent football fix, you just fiending for football. XFL ain't been that bad the last couple weeks. I done checked it out. It's definitely better than last time it was online. I must admit. But in the same token, it ain't like over the top. Wow, I gotta watch these. As far as the World Baseball Classic, boring. Hated it. Not liking it
Yeah,
at all. They
that's
just need
something that I thought to be much better than what it is, man.
And maybe it's just because the United States team ain't all that great, or I don't know what it is. Just I done watched a few of the games and not interested. But yeah, definitely ready for tourney time. Keep in mind, I definitely think this is a year where we're gonna see a couple Cinderella teams just based on the fact that the year kind of been like that. What do you think, Hugh?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when it comes to the men's bracket, you never know, man. There's so many upsets and teams losing, and I was just really surprised that the teams didn't play up to their caliber. I thought, man, they'd do a little better than what they did. Like Purdue, man. At first, they were world beaters, and they were always getting upset by teams, man. And just to show you that just and in general that it wasn't really no number one team out there because everybody lost, man. Even Houston, when I least suspected that they lost. So um, it's definitely going to be a lot of parity in this one, and I wouldn't be surprised with a lot of these Cinderella teams because a lot of the teams, if you're like at least in that 12 range and you're playing like a number five, man, anything can go because it just depends on who won it the most. And that's what I like about the March Madness because it's not about who's the team that you already think gonna win or, you just put on the jersey and go out there and just go through the motions and you're gonna beat a 16 ranked team. No, you got to go out there and perform because a lot of these teams, man, like we've talked about and we've seen before in the past that make the whole situation so deep. A lot of them just start to get uniforms. A lot of them just got the academic scholarships and starting to get these teams together. Like they wasn't really built to have all that stuff at one point. And now they get the opportunity. They cherish it, man. And they play that way. They play like everything is on the line. And you can't go in there half-assed in the tournament and thinking that you're going to come out on top. That's what makes it so special because any team on any given day can win. And I was looking at some of the flashback videos and I shook my head because I was like, what I thought would have been the Connecticut when they had to play like 3-4 games straight in a row to try to get to the championship. And then UConn ended up winning. That was the Kemba Walker team when he did that step back on my man's and hit the shot at the buzzer. Yeah, man, it was a really good tournament. And just was really surprised because that year I think both UConns won, men and women.
That is the year that both the men and women won. And if I remember, I think that year the women went undefeated. So definitely that. I think the few keys you got to look at is one, if you got that one player that just is a scoring machine, look out for that guy these first couple rounds. Definitely if you're a team that plays great team defense, like a West Virginia or a Marquette, for instance, I think they'll be dangerous in this tournament. If you got a quality big man, particularly one that can hit from the outside, like basically the guy from Purdue, Mr. Eddie, and then of course I think there's another kid. I forget what school he's like, but he's like 7'5", to shoot threes. I definitely think he'll make a mark in the tournament. You'll see who I'm talking about soon enough. Right now, I did my bracket. Did you do a bracket, you?
Yeah, I did one, and it was weird because when I did it, I did it the one you gave me, And then it made me get like one of those like icons, like a bracket icon. And I'm like, what's that all about? Okay, whatever. And then when I did it, now they giving me another opportunity. They talking about I can fill out up to like 4. So I said, okay, I'm gonna fill out the other. Man, I'm gonna fill out the other 3, and then I'm gonna go and do the same thing on CBS because they said I only got like 3 more days to do it. So I said, yeah, let me go ahead and do that, do my due diligence on that. But yeah, man,
Basically,
I
what he was
definitely,
talking about, guys, is that the ESPN every year they basically do the tournament challenge where you basically can download onto your phone or your computer the ESPN route, and then basically it gives you the whole bracket to go through. It marks your performance based on who you pick. It basically ranks you up with all the major players that have done a bracket. The one thing I like is that they basically have celebrities do brackets, and you could basically size up your bracket against their bracket and what have you. I know some people they basically do it as kind of like a championship league type thing where basically whoever ends up with the biggest points in the brackets, they win a prize, something like that. I definitely would like to do that sometime next year, perhaps with us. But the other thing, of course, I like is the fact that they not only do the men's bracket, but they do the women's bracket as well, where you can go through. Now, I actually, of course, did both because me and Hugh both are fans of both the men's and women's basketball. Amazingly enough, Hugh, when all was said and done, do you know I ended up picking the same 2 teams that won last year's tournaments?
oh
Virginia
really?
for the men's side and South Carolina for the women's side.
Definitely got South Carolina, but I'm a little biased, man. I had to pick my boys, Alabama, with Brandon Miller. Them, man. I start to drink that Kool-Aid. Do I think they're gonna win? No, but it's just good to see them there. I think like a Kansas or a Baylor will pull it out, because people still slipping on Baylor, man. That team got most of those pieces that they had before when they won that championship team. So,
I do believe I have both Baylor and Alabama in Elite Eight at least. So yeah,
mhm.
I'm kind of thinking on the way you're thinking. Like I said, and just working out the brackets and having watched certain teams more than others, I like what Kansas brings to the table. They definitely got
Yeah,
multiple scores on that squad. They got a relatively
discipline.
decent bench, and you gotta like Self as a coach. He's been there before. He's done
Yep,
well. I mean, there's always those few people. Don't be surprised by. Definitely don't be surprised by Marquette with their coach who has been there before, have taken lesser teams, more higher places. You know who I speak of. You will definitely recognize that face if he gets that far up. You definitely got to watch coaches like Coach Izzo, who seem like no matter what his team is doing during
you
the
can
regular
never
season,
get
when
out.
you get to the tournament, he can find that extra switch, and next thing you know, state then reach the Final Four again.
Yeah,
So
that
yeah,
definitely don't surprise me because that dude is amazing. It just seems like the guys go there and they go all out and play for him, man. We all know it. We've seen so many documentaries on this guy. He could have been left Michigan State, man. NBA teams was giving him so much money. They were throwing money out the kazoo to try to get him to coach their teams, man. But he turned down so much money and stayed there because that's what he liked to do. That's his passion and his drive. And with him, it probably ain't really about the money like that. It's about, coaching and making these young kids men. Hey, what's happening, Ro? What's good?
always good to hear from our good pal Road to Stardom checking into the show as she always does. We appreciate you, Road, as always. Please check out Road to Stardom on all her platforms, as we will always advertise for our good friend Road to Stardom in terms of everything she's got going on Road to Star TV and her radio show as well. Please check out all that. She also has merchandise that she is selling as well. So please support our good friend Road to Stardom on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and the like. We would appreciate you doing that. Thank you very much. With that being said, definitely want to give a couple shout outs in the tournament. Got to shout out one of the fam, young Sam Houston State, who did not make the NCAA tournament, but they did indeed make the NIT tournament. So for Keon Scrogin, shout out to you, bro. Salute. Hope you guys do well in the tourney. I do believe, in fact, you guys are playing your first tournament game this evening. So good luck to you this evening. And hopefully you make it very far. If not, actually win that damn thing. That would be great for the family, just great in general. So shout out to you. Basically, shout out to all of those Cinderella teams that basically have made the tournament for only the first couple times in life, or basically pulled out a miracle. Like I said, a lot of those tournaments did not go the way that you have formatted them, where many of the number one seeds, and particularly a lot of the major conference tournaments, did not make it to the tournament based on them winning the automatic bid. They basically had to be brought in. So that's why the seeding is pretty interesting. I definitely can see a lot of 6-11, 7-10, 5-12 type upsets going on in the tournament because of that. So looking forward to it. Remember, I think the play-in games actually start either tonight or tomorrow. So check them out. And
What was interesting?
yeah, go ahead, Hugh.
What was interesting to me too, E, was the fact that this year, not only in the men's, but we've seen a lot of upset in the women's as well, man. I don't really see that happening too much in the women's, you know, but I still feel like the men's is going to be some pretty good upsets and some games that go down to the wire. And I was surprised with some of the teams too, because I remember at one point Kansas has always been one of them teams that they'll either go out in the first round to be upset or they'll go all the way. Kind of remind me of how Villanova used to be. But I just feel like now they have more discipline with that team and that coaching staff.
I think all in all the bracket was pretty good. I don't think they missed too many teams that should have made it to the tournament. You know, again, remember we got the NIT tournament as well. So I think a lot of the teams, you know, as usual, it's like kind of was on the bubble. They pretty much caught them in the NIT. So I think just actually just looking at those brackets, the NIT tournament probably one of the better NIT tournaments that they've had in a few years. They definitely got some interesting teams that could do some pretty interesting stuff to make it interesting in NIT. We'll see how it play out, but when all is said and done, I think this is definitely going to be a very interesting tournament because there is no clear cut winner at this point.
No,
Like I said, I mean, you look at who's ranked top five. I can see any of them teams getting upset in the second round, maybe even possibly the first. So we'll see how it play out. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking
yeah,
forward to the women's side, obviously, because we'll get to see a lot of teams that we haven't had a chance to see over the course of the year. You know what I'm saying? There's teams like Utah, for example, that's ranked in the top 10 in the women's side. I have yet to see them play this year. I haven't seen Ohio State play much. I'm kind of interested to see those two teams, in particular on the women's side. What about you, Hugh?
yeah, man. Ohio State, I haven't really seen them play, man, but most times they've been playing good, man. They're like one of the top girl teams. And like you said, with Utah, um, I was forced to pay attention to Maddie Segrist because when I started hearing her name, and then when I was doing the period to the game and had put the scores out there, I was like, man, this chick's a double machine. But I believe Angel Reese had the record with the double doubles. But yeah, it was just really good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to see what Kim Mulkey King gonna do too, man. You keep showing me that video of her when she was with the Lady Volunteers with that big forehead, man. She was so cute, but she was a baller, man. And she's such a defensive coach, man. And I love that lady, man, because just for what she brings to the game, and just think about it for all you men and women fans who like basketball. When that lady before she went to LSU, they wasn't really that good. She hasn't been over there that long. Look how that program turned around, man. Wherever she go, man, she teach that defensive mind, and those girls brought into it, man. You can see they having fun, and you know they picking up on her attitude. They got that moxie. They all of them, they want each other to succeed too, and that's what I like about it. It ain't all about Angel Reese. It's not the Angel Reese show. She can be on the sideline cheering just as hard as one of her teammates is out there scoring, because it's not about just one person individually. She trying to, you know, change the whole culture of that program, and that's exactly what she did in a couple of years too. So I wouldn't be surprised eventually if they can mess around within the next year or two to win the championship, man, because they got the pieces.
Right, because, you know, of course, as much as I love my UConn Lady Huskies, I kind of like the fact that the league is starting to be a little bit more diverse now that, you know, you don't go into every season thinking, okay, well, you know, UConn in, who else? It's not necessarily the case anymore. So, you know, I'm interested to see. Of course, I want to see how far the Huskies get. And the one thing that I definitely like is the fact that once the tournament is over for the women, pretty much a couple days after the tournament is when the WNBA draft is. So if you kind of on that bubble of the first or second round, this is a very good opportunity to build up your draft capital. Because right now, if you look at some of the mock drafts for the WNBA, you don't get Maddie Seacrest as high as you think she should be if you actually watched her play. So I'm hoping that she definitely does things to increase her draft capital. And then, of course, don't speak on Stanford. Definitely got to look out for them. Because remember, out of all the teams that played South Carolina, they probably came the closest to actually beating.
And they should have. But then, like you said, with Cameron Brink excelling her game, she really picked up her game.
I really
To
like
pick up the way she have been, and Haley Jones and just that team in general. Yeah, man. But damn, Brink just came out of nowhere and just really focused more or less. She's a scorer, but her defense really excelled over the last few months, man. And yeah, she's been really to the point where she's been that spark plug that that team needs.
right. And then, of course, if South Carolina does win it all again, you got to start putting some respect on Dawn Staley's name, man. You got to start putting her up there with some of the best that ever have coached women's college basketball with the Gino Oriemas and, of course, the great one from Tennessee herself. Rest in peace. And then, of course, let's not forget the person with the most wins in college basketball history over there at Stanford, Mr. Vanderbilt.
Yeah, because it's gonna be real fun this year, man. The women's gonna really be like I say, I'd really be surprised if some of those like top teams get dominated or lose. It might be a couple of Cinderella stories, but I don't think it's gonna be a lot.
Right, like I said, definitely look out for Stanford, and I wouldn't put none past my Lady Huskies. Like I said, I didn't expect them to win as much as they did this year, considering how few people they had from week to week. But you know, they're about 10 deep now, and uh, AZ
They
Fun is
went
definitely
on
going to
at
be
the end of the season too.
and
They went
again,
on a run.
another squad to watch. LSU as well. So you know, definitely keep. I like that Maryland squad. I ain't mad at them either.
Yeah, Miss Miller, man.
Diamond Miller definitely a person to watch. And of course, we'll probably give you guys more people to watch next week when we talk more tournament first and second round. But before we go, we want to touch on the NBA just a little bit. You know, ain't
Yeah.
been a lot of great games going on, but I definitely like what we saw Saturday night out of Golden State in the books.
Yeah, like you said, it was a Giannis list team that still gave them a run for the money. And I still feel like you said, if they can get like the big man or something, I was really surprised they didn't focus on that when the trade deadline came in too. E man,
I definitely think that's going to haunt the Golden State Warriors. The
yeah,
fact that they don't have a big man, particularly one that could throw at Giannis Antetokounmpo, or of course a Joel Embiid if they make it to the finals. Because
yeah,
granted, we know that Golden State when they on, they can score with the best of the best in the league, no question. But the fact that when it comes to that low post defense, if you basically get Looney and Draymond Green in foul trouble, yeah, Golden State, we got a problem.
and that's
So
what I was surprised about.
right, then the fact that you know, you look at some of the other teams in that league, you definitely like Denver matching up a lot better with the Bucks than the Warriors at this point because they got a lot of big men they could throw at Giannis. You look at Porter Jr., you look at of course Jokic,
Jamal Jamal Murray, you got
you know,
Jokic, you got a lot of guys over there, man. And Gordon over there too. They got a lot of big bodies over there. Them not no little dudes. Both of them like 6'8" and up.
absolutely.
It's a big squad, man.
Right. And if I remember right, JaVale McGee, isn't he still over there too with them?
No, I think you know what, he over there with Dallas now.
Oh yeah, you're right about that. But I know they got another big man that throw at you up. I'm trying to think of who it is. But
They got some linky dudes over there though, man. And
yeah.
One thing that I'd just be disappointed in, and we're going to speak about what my man Stephen A said. He basically was saying, which I look at, which is weird to me, because last year when I was complaining about Joker winning the MVP, I thought it was Joel Embiid, and now that's what Stephen A saying now. Like, don't y'all make him the front runner? Think he just gonna run away with it? But Jokic actually having a better year than he did last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said,
Man,
you
and I
gotta watch
feel
that
like
guy. And don't look now, but it's a
I
couple
still feel
teams
like
starting. It's a couple teams starting to get it together over there. Look at the Clippers. They didn't play good the last few games. Definitely check out the Brooklyn Nets. You definitely would have thought that once they did all that willing and dealing and got rid of the big fellas that they was gonna be done. Oh no. If anything, I think they played better without them two guys.
and check this out too. If a man's don't win the coach of the year, he should definitely be considered, man. Josh Vaughn, man, what he did with that dysfunctional team, man. You had like Kevin Durant, who didn't even really want to be over there before the season started. He already wanted to be in Phoenix. And then you had Kyrie, who was asking for trades, and it was just so much stuff going on over there. But they went on like that 12, 13 game win streak. And ever since then, they padded their game, and they started to run, get closer to the teams in the East. At one point, they were like second, about third place. They were third place, and it was Boston. No, it was Boston. It was Milwaukee. Then it was them, and then they slipped off a little bit, and then that's when Joel and them kind of came in and took their dominance. But I still feel like I like Joel Embiid chances this year. But still, man, it's gonna be hard because, like I said, how good Jokic played, and I feel like he's having a better year. And I don't feel like it's fair for when people like Kendrick Perkins say, "Oh man, he, stat padding and all this other stuff, man."
And I
But
kind of hate that they had that conversation the way they did last week, and how basically Perkins kind of made it more of a racial thing. The fact that people
absolutely,
like Stephen Nash and stuff got MVP. I don't think you should have went there, bro. Everything
I don't.
can't always be played on the race card. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of people have that criticism of First Take in general, the fact that Stephen A. Smith can oftentimes discuss things of race, but I think he would be negligent not to as a black man with that type of cachet on TV. But in the same token, every discussion don't have to be a literal black and white thing.
Agree. I don't like the way that whole thing was settled, man. And my man's Michael Rappaport, I looked on his Instagram. He wasn't really too happy about it either. But I told him too, like what I was saying, no disrespect. And I see it from my eye of a basketball fan, and I definitely still feel like Jokic right now is playing the best, regardless, man. And as much as I would love for Joel to do it this year, because it's funny too, because last year I was livid about the whole thing. And I was
I mean,
definitely pro Joel.
absolutely. Last year, I felt Joel should have won the MVP over Jokic. This year, no, it's Jokic is the lose as far as I'm concerned. Like I said,
Because damn,
at times he make it look so effortless. You know what I'm saying?
they need to look at his stats, man. How many triple doubles this dude did as a big man? That's rare, man.
Right. So yeah,
And
most definitely looking forward to the next few weeks in NBA. But all in all, that's pretty much what I got, Hugh. What about you?
yeah, basically me too, man. But it's crazy too because at this point of the year, it's kind of a soft spot in the NBA. But still, I appreciate a lot of the things that happened this season, and it's been a really good season. But as much as I love the NBA right now, though, man, I'm gonna have to definitely kind of turn the blind eye. Probably peek in a few, times here and there, but I'm gonna be all in on the March Madness. So. Yeah, and that's the good thing too, because by that time the free agency will be already cooled down. So that'll give me more focus just to watch the March Madness and enjoy it.
Yep, absolutely. Then of course, soon after that, you got baseball starting. We get close to the NBA playoffs, so on and so forth. So you know how it goes. But like I said, whatever is going on in the sports world, we definitely will keep you posted. Look for my late night sports report to start soon. I'll explain that a little bit more next week. But in the meanwhile, we gotta advertise for my man's right quick. Do your thing, you.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna definitely be doing some stuff too, man. Pretty soon. It's not gonna be like we still gonna do the Game Time Audible, but I'll probably be doing some stuff live from the Pure to the Game podcast. I'm gonna do that, and it's gonna be basically talking and more or less focusing on football in general, like how it's getting into like the NFL draft and the free agency, man. I'd be too busy to be talking about that. I'd be too busy doing this. Most of the show, that's all I've been doing is looking like this, man, because it kind of cooled down now, so I'm not typing as much. But at one point, man, it was like 3 or 4 different things happening, and it was happening so fast that I couldn't even really keep up. But it was pretty good to see
I
it.
definitely say you will have that issue tomorrow when the official signing day starts. So I'm pretty sure you're gonna be pretty busy over there dealing with that. Like I said, for all those deals, definitely check out Pure to the Game. He was keeping up with them, and oftentimes you will have links that you can go to find out the details of said deal. So I like that about it as well. And make sure you leave your comments in regards to what you think of some of these deals. You definitely will appreciate that, and he does get back in touch with you in regards to your comments later on down the line.
Yeah, I definitely want to interact and do much as I possibly could because it's been pretty interesting the last 48 hours. But until then, we definitely appreciate y'all time. This was probably one of the easier shows we had because it was like more or less 2 really major things that was going on. But yeah, hopefully we get a little bit more craziness in the NBA or like it pick up a little bit. I know we're getting closer to the playoffs, so it's gonna kind of still be kind of that soft spot. But yeah, right now I'm gonna definitely be dialed in on March Madness, so we're gonna talk about some of those results and get ready for the MLB season because that'll be coming up shortly.
Absolutely, and definitely want to see how the new rule changes will affect the games in the MLB as well. So looking forward to that. But until then, we will be back with you guys next week for more Game Time Audible. I am signing off along with the man Hugh. He will have the final word today. What you got to say, Hugh?
Appreciate all the love, man. Keep continuing to hit me up on that Pure to the Game. I appreciate, everything growing on that page and for more people even sharing my comments, man. It's been pretty cool to have information out there fast enough that people are sharing it. And then I turn around and, the other networks like the Bleacher Reports and ESPN start to catch on. Usually it'll be like me, Bleacher Report, ESPN, and ESPN come in so late now. It'd be good to have that news and be able to pass it out. Because sometimes too, I even flirt on my page, to get people, and that's how I was like luring some of the people into the page. I'll say something like when I said to Jalen Ramsey, people thought it was a rumor. I laughed. It's like, no, it ain't no rumor. It's facts. I had to show them the information. Like, this is what happened. This had already happened, y'all. Where y'all been at the last 5-6 minutes? Then ESPN hit them with the news. And by me doing that, people hit me up on my, messenger, ask me what was going on and how do you know that news? I'm like, man, just follow this page. You hit them with the link. And I was like luring people from Facebook to go on that sports page. So definitely appreciate all the people who've been in there and, just looking at the news and all the support I've been getting. The more the merrier.
And like I said, we will definitely branch out some other things. Like I said, now that we're starting to get things together in our life and whatnot, we have more time to kind of work with the pages and whatnot. So definitely looking forward to doing that in the future. So in the meanwhile, we will catch you guys next week. Throw the fingers up, Hugh. You know what it is. Peace out, people.
Till then, definitely appreciate y'all. Much love.
Gametime Audible is a Nighthawk network.